In this video, I will explain how the universe began with the Big Bang and how Earth formed from a hot cloud of dust. You'll learn how our planet transformed from a glowing ball into a living world with oceans, plants, and animals. Billions of years ago, there was nothing but a vast dark space. Scientists believe everything started with a massive explosion called the Big Bang. This explosion created the universe, with all the stars and planets we know today. It was the starting point for Earth's formation. After the Big Bang, tiny dust and gas particles floated through space. These particles slowly began to clump together because of gravity. From these clumps, a huge hot cloud formed, which would eventually become our sun. Earth formed from the leftover parts of this cloud. The dust cloud became denser and hotter until it turned into the sun. It started to shine and sent light and heat in all directions. Around the sun, dust and gas that hadn't become part of it continued to spin. From this material, Earth would later form. The leftover dust particles and small rocks kept crashing into each other. Over time, they stuck together and grew larger, like snowballs rolling and collecting more snow. These clumps became planetesimals, the building blocks of planets. Earth slowly began to take shape. From the planetesimals, a young planet grew over millions of years, our Earth. Back then, it wasn't a beautiful blue planet, but a glowing ball of molten rock. There was no air, no water, just heat and chaos. But it kept growing by attracting more material. As Earth grew, many other rocks still flew through space. One of them, as big as Mars, smashed into the young Earth with full force. The impact was so powerful that material flew off and later formed the moon. Earth itself became even hotter and more chaotic. The material from the big crash gathered near Earth. It clumped together and slowly formed our moon. The moon stayed in Earth's orbit and still affects it today, like causing the tides. That's how Earth got its loyal companion. After all the wild events, Earth slowly began to cool down. The glowing surface became more solid and formed a rocky crust. It was still extremely hot, but not everything was liquid anymore. This process took millions of years. As Earth cooled, volcanoes erupted all over the place. They spewed lava, ash, and gases into the air. These gases were important because they would later create Earth's first atmosphere. The landscape was wild and fiery. The gases from the volcanoes collected around Earth and formed a thin layer of air. But it wasn't air we could breathe. It was made of toxic substances like methane and carbon dioxide. There was no oxygen yet. This atmosphere was Earth's first layer of protection. At some point, water started to arrive on Earth, probably from comets and asteroids. These space rocks crashed onto Earth and brought ice, which melted. That's how the first water collected on the surface. Earth got its first oceans. The water filled the deep places in Earth's crust and created massive oceans. These oceans were hot and wild because Earth hadn't fully cooled yet, but they were the beginning of something great. Without water, there would have been no life. With the oceans, Earth began to change more and more. Minerals from rocks dissolved in the water and gave the seas different colors. The surface developed different layers, like land and water. It was the start of a varied world. The atmosphere didn't stay toxic. It started to change. Volcanoes and other processes brought new gases, and water also played a role. Eventually, the air became more stable, but still without oxygen. It was a slow transformation. Something exciting happened in the warm oceans. Tiny particles began to connect. These particles became the first, very simple life forms. They weren't animals or plants, just small building blocks of life. This was the beginning of life on Earth. The sun played a big role as its light gave energy. This energy helped the tiny life forms to grow and develop. Without the warmth and light of the sun, nothing would have evolved. Earth was slowly coming to life. Over time, tiny organisms appeared that used sunlight and created oxygen. This process is called photosynthesis and was very important. Oxygen began to build up in the air and water. Earth became breathable. Oxygen completely changed the atmosphere. The toxic air turned into one that could support life. Plants and other creatures could now grow and breathe. It was a huge step for Earth. With oxygen, the first simple plants appeared in the water. They were small, like algae, but they spread everywhere. These plants made even more oxygen and helped turn Earth green. Life became more diverse. From simple life forms, the first animals developed over millions of years. They lived in water first because the land was still too harsh. These animals were tiny, but they were the beginning of everything that came after. Earth became more alive. Eventually, plants and animals dared to move onto land. They had to adapt to live without water around them. This was a big leap, as life could now spread everywhere. Earth got its first forests and meadows. With plants and animals, Earth's surface began to change. Mountains, rivers, and plains formed through natural forces like wind and water. Earth started to look more like the planet we know. It was a long journey. The Earth's crust moved and broke into large plates. These plates pushed against each other and formed the continents. That's how Africa, Europe, and all the other landmasses appeared. Earth got its face. With continents and oceans, the weather also changed. There was rain, wind, and more stable seasons. The climate helped life to spread further. Earth became a home for many species. Millions of years ago, huge creatures like dinosaurs appeared on Earth. They ruled the land and seas for a long time. These giants showed how diverse life had become. Earth was wild and exciting. A giant asteroid hit Earth and changed everything. Many dinosaurs went extinct because the climate changed. But this impact made room for new species. Earth started to reinvent itself. After the dinosaurs, mammals became more important. They were smaller but smarter and more adaptable. Many animals we know today came from them. Earth now belonged to them. At some point, the first humans arrived on Earth. They were smart and began to build tools and homes. With humans, Earth changed even more. They became the dominant species. Today, Earth is a blue planet with oceans, forests, and cities. People, animals, and plants live together on it. It has a long history full of changes, and it's still evolving. No one knows exactly what Earth will look like in millions of years. Maybe the climate will change or new species will appear. But one thing is certain, Earth will remain an exciting planet. Its story continues.